I am Catalan, so the Barcelona Symphony Orchestra commissioned me a new piece now called InFALL, but I worked with them 3 years ago. They played my piece Karst, Chroma 2, and it was a very good experience, full of colors and very reactive, and they did a really good version of the piece. So the experience was good, and now they wanted a premiere of a new piece with the Mahler Fifth. So it of course is a prelude of this immense work by Gustav Mahler, but yeah, they wanted a new piece by me, and I did it. I think the main challenge for the young generation of composers is to create orchestral works that have the same power, or even more or less, I mean more or less the same power as the works of late 19th and early 20th century, like Scriabin or Mahler or Strauss. I mean, for me the main thing is not, of course, not to do the same language at all, but to go beyond, but pushing the energy and the strength of the form, the construction and the emotions at the same level that this hyper-orchestral language of late 19th and early 20th century reach. So this is the main thing. The other question, and the most difficult, is how. So what I worked a lot, and not only in this piece, but in Carré Saint l'Horizon, which was for big ensemble, and my early pieces for orchestra, Chroma 1 and 2, is to reach states of fusion of instruments, and in a very delicate way. So I work hours and thousands of hours in not only on the table, but also playing on the piano, and trying to reach the most melty state of instruments in such a way that I get then waves of energy that permit me to allow me to reach these immense sounds and clashes of orchestral matter. So it's in fact a very artisanal labor, very let's say slow and but done with a very pushed energy. So at the end, in one day, I can compose 2 or 3 orchestral pages, but I am completely exhausted. But maybe one I can't. I mean, it's 10 hours, 12 hours per day concentrated on this crystallization of this, let's say, fleshy orchestral sound. But it's not yeah, it's about architecture too. So how in a work like InFALL of 10 minutes, I can crystallize a full an architecture, an emotional architecture, which is what I wanted on that piece. It's a sort of I try to imagine what's life, what we are, and what we are doing here, and what relates us to the whole. And so this is a sort of delirium about these feelings that are completely emotional but also rational. So it's a clash between reason and rationality and emotion, which came from the most primitive part of us, which is the feeling that animals and human beings are forces that articulated by non-material, let's say, aims or but this is, of course, is not scientific. So at the same time I approach the science and I try to create some sort of clash in myself and to produce a musical architecture that pushes us to some sort of emotional state that makes us feeling that we are really fragile and yeah. So this is very abstract. I'm sure that, I mean, it's not more simple, but it's more concise than my other orchestra pieces. So Karst and Chrome and Lumière Abyssale. So it's. I'm sure that more or less it's a piece that it's possible to read it at first sight, and of course not perfect, but it's not complicated in that sense. But it's a piece of 9-10 minutes, so it will be not a problem, and it sounds quite immense normally. So it's a piece that the matter sounds, and it's not a piece for intellect and for the sound is not abstract on that piece. It's a concise sound, not classical, because sometimes the sound is very whistling and very let's say metallic in some way, like iron infusion or gold infusion. Some sounds are really acid, like stomach acid, and some other sounds. I mean, it's a piece that has very biological and physical sounds in some way, and this has to permit the orchestra to really found these sounds at the first sight and be conscious. What I expect from big conductor like Lothar Zagrosek or Emilio Pomarico, who conducted Carré Sans Horizon, is complete freedom. So I offered a piece to him. The piece is concisely written, but he himself, I offered a piece. So my work stops here. Of course, in the rehearsal I can interact and suggest things, but I prefer to give him freedom to interpret the piece, to recreate his vision of this written music. So, and the same for the musicians, of course. In between some, of course, some margins of freedom, which is what I have written. And this piece is tragic.